Blog Talk Radio.
Let's go. It's time to attack. We the smartest, fastest, and most vicious. We gonna put them in their place. We coming out here for one day.
And he's gonna fire deep. But there, inside the 10.
Look, Superman.
Good route by Edelman. Now they come on a reverse to the near side on a quick run.
What's up, NFL football fans, and welcome to another edition of Cover 2 with McMillan and Purdue, the show where we talk nothing but NFL football. Brought to you, of course, by War Room Sports. I'm one of your hosts. I'm Devin McMillan. I'm at the round table with my partner in crime, Fred Purdue, in the building. Fred, what's up?
What's going on, man? After a very hurtful Sunday, man, I'm kind of down in the dumps after this one. After this last week,
man. Speak for yourself, man. Speak for yourself, man. When
I know you're
that hurtful.
Same old story, same story, different day.
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was a crazy week. So you know, since you started us off that way, tell us, you know, what's the problem? What's so hurtful? What happened in week 15 that got you a little bit down in the dumps? What's going on?
For the first time in a long time, and I mean a long time, since 2011, the Pittsburgh Steelers actually beat the Patriots. But it's been a while, and it's been since 2002 that they beat us on their own field. Man, New England they did everything in the world to lose that game. Tom Brady threw up a YOLO ball, and I'm just like, what are you doing, Tom? And then, of course, the story. Every time Tom Brady has one of those moments, even though he brings his team to the brink of coming back, Tom's falling apart. Tom's going down. The deterioration of Tom Brady, the Patriots organization is falling apart. We forget that the defense was the bomb squad, letting guys like James Washington just make them look like a just Swiss cheese. Offensive line looked terrible. No running game, and yet they were within a touchdown. They were within an interception, and really maybe they had every opportunity at the end to win it, and they still didn't. Just saying.
Yeah, you've pretty much heard that kind of talk all week. People asking the question, is Tom Brady finally falling off that cliff? You know, is his decline, you know, just that sharp and instead of being a steady thing? For me, it's like, actually, who knows? Like, if it is the case finally, then I really don't see there being any shame in that, with the man being, you know, on the other side of 40 years old. But at the same time, like you said, like we've seen this story before. The Patriots have been so good at, you know, fending off this kind of talk in the past. I think you really can't adamantly state that, you know, Tom Brady's falling off, the Patriots run is finally done, until it's actually done. I don't think it's going to be something that we can call in the middle of it. Like, we're going to have to wait and actually see the results because, like I said, the team has fended it off so many times. And again, if Tom Brady is on a decline, whether it be slow or fast, like I said, the man's on the other side of 40 years old. There's really no shame in that. But we've watched him beat and defy Father Time for so long that, you know, for some people, it's just so difficult to believe. Yeah, that in my opinion was a win that the Pittsburgh Steelers needed. You know, not only for their history against the New England Patriots, but, you know, just for what they've been doing lately as a team. It's like they needed a big win, and I think they may get some confidence from this particular win. So, yeah, that's one of the highlights of Week 15, that particular game. I guess since you started with the team you rooted for, we can talk a little bit about the Eagles. That's one of my highlights, of course, of Week 15. The fact that they went into the Los Angeles Coliseum for the second season in a row, knocked that team off. This time, the result being a pretty big upset because of where the Rams were in relation to where the Eagles were. Definitely a surprise for me. This, to me, wasn't – I didn't have the same type of feeling going into this game as I did with the Saints. As you know, the Saints are like mine's nemesis because I always tell you, man, if we had to play the Saints last year during that Super Bowl run, I don't think we'd be Super Bowl champs. When we played them earlier this season, I didn't think we had a shot in the world, and it turned out to be that way. The Rams, even though this is my Super Bowl pick, you know what I mean, the Rams are my Super Bowl champions and my preseason pick, it didn't seem like as tall of a task, but at the same time, it's not like I was picking the Eagles to win this game. So enter Nick Foles again, and he just made the situation that more interesting because now you have people making that argument of whether or not Nick Foles is better than Carson Wentz or at least better for this team than Carson Wentz. So you know, it just brings forth very interesting conversations with the loss by the Cowboys, which is another highlight of Week 15. You know, it makes the whole NFC East thing that much more interesting, and it actually gives the Eagles a tunnel, and I do call it a tunnel because they would definitely have to crawl their way through the underground, you know, crevices to make this scenario work, but there's still a scenario where they could come back and actually steal this division. So what are your thoughts about that whole thing? You know, just as everybody's out there talking about whether or not Tom Brady is falling off a cliff, on the other side of the bracket, we got to worry about people thinking that the backup quarterback might be better off for this team, considering he led them to a Super Bowl win last season. You know, now that he got a big win against the Rams. What are your thoughts on that one?
It's amazing how people have such short memories. I remember Week 1, Atlanta, Philly, and I know Week 1's a bit off because, you know, you really don't see a lot of football being played early. But Nick Foles struggled. 19 of 34, 117 yards, no touchdowns, interception, 18 to 12 game to start the season. And you follow it up. I mean, it's not like he was just killing the league. I mean, Eagles lost the second game against Tampa on the road in the game. I thought those Eagles would win. I mean, Nick Foles still 35 48, 334, a ton of empty yardage, maybe a touchdown, no interceptions. But you turn around and you still lose that game, and you're saying, well, what's going on with Philly? And, yeah, it's a close game. You lost 2 games by a total of 12 points. I mean, you can't really be too upset with that. But at the same time, it's like Nick Foles is a really nice spot starter. Do I want him having the keys to my franchise? I don't know about that. I mean, for me, there's a reason why you drafted Carson Wentz, and he's had 2 unfortunate injuries, 1 an ACL, 2 a back. And these are both critical pieces to not only just simply walking, but playing the quarterback position because it's from the leg, it's from the waist down. Well, guess what? Now he can't. He's going to be very limited. Even when he comes back, he's probably going to have some confidence issues. Every quarterback that blows a knee out is probably going to have confidence issues when guys are flying around their legs. Now you have to worry about this guy's going to land on my back. This guy's going to hit me in the back. So that time clock goes off in your head. So Nick Foles it's easy to say, okay, he can start 4 or 5 games. That's great, especially when you have momentum on your side. But starting a 16-game season, I have a small sample size that says, not so fast.
Yeah. For this particular franchise, you know, Nick Foles, you know, we can say the cliche, he wins games, even though we know it's the ultimate team games, so he's not winning any of these games by himself. I think what he offers to the team is, because his talent level is on a lower plane than Carson Wentz. So I think he allows Doug Peterson to call a little bit of a simpler game, which actually turns out to be better for the rest of the team because you see, against the Rams, the running game was going a little bit better than it has been as of late under Carson Wentz. Like you're not asking Nick Foles to do as much as you ask Carson Wentz to do on a daily basis, and fans have to remember that. But that's only the ones that's jumping to the extremes. I think most of them out there know. Like, okay, Nick is our guy. He's the backup that's able to step in and take you on a playoff run. And, most fans who are intelligent enough to know and not jump to the extremes, they know exactly what we have in Nick Foles. And whether or not they're happy to have him as a backup and to be lucky enough to have him if we can't have our starter. At the same time, everybody's not out there screaming for Nick Foles to be the starting quarterback come next season. I think that's something that talking heads do.
Could be worse, Peterman.
Right, no doubt. I think that's something that the talking heads do to kind of stir things up, though. But I don't think there's a lot of people out there that's actually calling for Nick Foles to be the full-time quarterback on this team. But it's good as a fan to know that you have that back there. And like you said, it could be much worse. You could have the Peterman back there. And speaking of that, the Oakland Raiders have signed Nathan Peterman to their practice team to get some extra depth going into Week 16. We know the questions. Every time somebody like this signs, all the fans out there want to know. So Nathan Peterman can get another job and Cat can't get a run. We know those questions are out there. But let's just stick to the whole fact. Let's just stick to the fact that it's Peterman in the first place, not who they didn't pick up. Let's talk about who they did pick up. He was released by Buffalo after throwing 12 interceptions in only 8 appearances over the past 2 seasons, which included, remember that one game when he threw 5 during the first half of his very first career start. The Peterman is just not a very good quarterback, and he hasn't proven, not even in spot work, that he's NFL worthy. So what do you think? Is this an arrogant move by John Gruden because he already thinks that he's a quarterback whisperer anyway? Is he thinking that, in the short term or even the long term, he can make Nathan Peterman a viable NFL quarterback? Or is this just much ado about nothing? Somebody who'll never be called up to the team, might not even be on the team in 2 weeks. What are your thoughts on the Peterman being called up?
Well, I heard you say depth, but I didn't catch the last part. I think I heard you say the depths of – no, never mind. I'm going to leave that alone.
That's some Hades.
Because that's where the Raiders are. And this makes it even worse. So, for me, this is all I have to say about this. A 1-3 record, 52% completion percentage, 3 career touchdowns. I can accidentally throw 3 touchdowns in the NFL. No disrespect to any quarterback, I can accidentally throw 3 touchdowns. Tebow style. We're gonna shovel past these things in.
Or I can at least accidentally not throw 12 interceptions in 8 appearances. Come on. 12
interceptions. Put all of that in perspective. 5 of those came in one game. Yards per average yards per throw, 4. Most running backs average that per carry. Okay, that's all I have to say. And if you really think you can save that, you can't. It's just being bad. That's just bad football. My guy Mike Singletary once said, cannot play with them, cannot coach with them, can't do it. I want winners. I want people that want to win. None of that applies here because it's bad football.
Yeah. I'm just like, this is this is what a lot of fans complain about. For me, like I'm not the one that's gonna keep bringing up Kaepernick's name every time a quarterback gets signed, but I can still ask myself, like, how do people like the Peterman get recycled in this league? Like, what has he shown anybody? Like, what have you seen on film that makes you think, oh, let me add him to our team? He could help if we needed some help. I just don't understand sometimes, but maybe one day, they'll make us understand, but I really don't. Speaking of quarterbacks, though, the Carolina Panthers are pretty much shutting down Cam Newton for the final 2 games. When the report first came down, they were just saying he's inactive against Atlanta, and there's an expectation that he may be shut down for the final 2 games as he continues to deal with sore throwing shoulder. Not really sure if he's going to need surgery during the offseason, but it's a safe bet to think and to say that we may have seen the last of Cam Newton for the 2018 football season. What are your thoughts on that?
Cam Newton was having a pretty good season this year. This year was, I don't know, for me, it seemed like they tailed off once the injuries happened. They've dropped the last 6 games, and it's not like they were just losing games. I mean, you lost to Pittsburgh 52-21. I mean, Cam Newton had a game against Tampa where he threw 4 interceptions. And granted, they were still in the game. They only lost by 7 points. That's when your opponent is that bad. And they didn't lose. The defense kept them in virtually every game. They didn't lose any of those outside of the Pittsburgh game. 5 of the 6 games they were in, they lost by 6 points or less. Or 7 points or less. So for me, what it tells me is the injury to the shoulder wasn't good because you could tell he couldn't throw the football the way he wanted to, and it really became evident against New Orleans where it just looked like he really just couldn't put any velocity on it. He's a big guy. He takes a lot of punishment. And don't take this take wrong. I'm not comparing him to making him the best player, the best quarterback in the league. He's far from it. But when I look at Cam Newton and I look at how he has to carry his team, I really think about how LeBron James has to carry his team in various facets. LeBron is usually your best scorer, your best rebounder, your best point guard. He's going to lead your team in at least the 3 essential categories, right? Points, rebounds, assists. Well, for Cam Newton, he's going to lead your team in passing, obviously. He's probably going to lead your team in rushing as well because you don't really have a really dynamic running game. So he's a big piece of that. And if he's not leading the team in rushing, he's leading the team where in critical carries. I mean, every time you need 3 yards, he goes and finds you 5. He's your power back. You don't even worry about – there was a time they had a Jonathan Stewart. No, forget Jonathan Stewart. We'll just use our quarterback. He doesn't have big-name receivers. DJ Moore's a rookie. He's had a pretty good season, but Devin Funchess, it seems like he's been there for a while. He hasn't fully developed yet. I mean, Curtis Samuel, not what I expected. Greg Olsen's been hurt. So Cam Newton's been carrying this team, and the defense has to save him a lot of times because he's a fireball thrower. He's not a precision passer like a Brady or a Rodgers. He's more of a spot thrower, and he needs big, tall receivers like a Kelvin Benjamin. I hate saying it, but he needs guys like that who can go high point and go get it because he's not going to throw it in a perfect spot. He's going to throw it to a place where you can only go get it. You have to climb the ladder to go get it. So for me, Cam Newton's got – if he's going to be carrying the load like this, more, and in a sense, you're almost carrying the load twice because you're doing a little bit more than what Brady and Rodgers is doing from a technical standpoint. You're actually doing the running back's job and you're doing the quarterback's job. You got to put pieces around them, and the Panthers aren't doing that. So this is the Panthers' fault. Cam Newton, it just seems like that team has not been the same since they went to the Super Bowl. By the way, against the Saints, Cam Newton's awareness, and it's always been this way since his days at Auburn. 28 seconds left going into the half. Cam Newton gets a first down on a QB power, and he goes and does the first down celebration. You have no timeout. It's 28 seconds left. What are you doing? You realize you need to come back to the line, either call a play or spike the ball so you can either at least attempt to get a touchdown here going into the half when you're in the red zone. This is a Cam Newton thing, and it's always been a Cam Newton thing, and it will separate him from the elite guys, the Rivers, the Rodgers, the Roethlisbergers, heck, even the Lux and the Lux Watsons, Matt Ryan, Drew Breeses, any of these really good quarterbacks. That's what separates him from the rest of those guys. You got to be self-aware, especially if you're the CEO of the franchise. Just saying.
Right, and it's obvious that the Panthers kind of made this decision, after this last loss. They're pretty much making the decision because the playoffs are a long shot. However, that's also why they're not sending him to the IR, because I think Ron Rivera says as much. He's leaving it open just in case there is a playoff scenario to be had in Week 16. And after Week 16, then you'll have the option of bringing Cam Newton back for one more game if you absolutely needed it. I don't think this team is going to be in a position going into the final week of the season where the playoffs are still going to be a possibility, but we'll see. And, it'll be real interesting and real dramatic to see if, you can bring Cam back in a situation like that, a do-or-die situation. It's kind of the same situation with the Eagles. Nobody's fully ruling Carson Wentz out. Now that they got this win, this unexpected win over the Rams, there's a possibility that you may see him again this season. So, that's the situation. We're going to go deep a little bit on some of these pro selections. We're going to talk the roster and if there were any snubs, deserving players, non-deserving players. Now, this is definitely more of a Fred thing because, as you guys know, I could give two craps about the Pro Bowl and who made it, but this is NFL football. This is one of the big NFL stories of the week, and of course, we got to talk about it. So let's get to this roster. Let's start with the AFC team. And let's go by position here. We'll start with the AFC offense. The wide receiver position, we have DeAndre Hopkins from Houston, Tyreek Hill, Kansas City, Antonio Brown, Pittsburgh, and Keenan Allen of the Los Angeles Chargers. Do you think these are four worthy Pro Bowl participants? Or do you think there's somebody out there who got snubbed that could be in before one of these guys?
Keenan Allen, I gotta let you go, big fella. Juju Smith-Schuster is just shy of 1,500 yards. It's hard to kind of keep him out. I know it's a popularity contest, but when you're closing in on 1,500 yards, it's really, really hard for me to want to keep you out. I think Keenan Allen, you got to go, big fella.
All right. That you bring up a good point. Statistically, Juju Smith-Schuster has had, one of those seasons that you could put up there with the big dogs of the league. You mentioned that it's a popularity contest, and that may, be exactly the reason why Juju to everybody out there nationally is just still that other guy on Pittsburgh that we like because he used to ride his bike to the facility and he was pretty good at what he did. I don't think people realize, Fred, that Juju Smith-Schuster is becoming a star, in his own right before our very eyes. I'm fine with the receiving core, but I could definitely see one making a case for Juju Smith-Schuster. Shout out to him because he held it down for my fantasy team for the entire season. So if anybody knows, I know Juju. All right. Offensive tackles. We got Taylor Lewan from the Tennessee Titans, Alejandro Villanueva from the Pittsburgh Steelers, and Eric Fisher from the Kansas City Chiefs. Thoughts?
No quarrels with this one. None at all. Taylor Lewan, tops in the running game. Always been a nasty tackle. Villanueva keeps Big Ben clean. And Eric Fisher, he's come a long way since being drafted number 1 in 2012. And now he's gone from protecting Alex Smith and the dink and dunk offense, and now he's being able to help extend plays and make Pat Mahomes look like the next great one in this league.
All right, well, let's go to the guards then. We have David DeCastro, Pittsburgh Steelers, Marshall Yanda of the Baltimore Ravens, and Quentin Nelson of the Indianapolis Colts.
None whatsoever. Quentin Nelson has been everything that we expected him to be coming out of Notre Dame. Marshall Yanda has been a stalwart with those Ravens. DeCastro, ever since that injury from friendly fire a few years back, from a guy we'll be talking about in a minute, he's been rock solid for that Steelers offensive line, even if he isn't blocking for probably the best back in the league.
All right, yeah, and shout out to Quentin Nelson. Indianapolis, there's been, whether or not they finish this thing off and make the playoffs, they're trending in the right direction right now. There's been a resurgence on this team, and personally, I think, the low-hanging fruit, the easy stuff is the return of Andrew Luck, who should have the comeback player of the year locked up. But I think up front, that offensive line has improved so much. And like we always talk about, everything starts with those fat boys up front. So you had to reward somebody up there. And they're here, Quentin Nelson and his teammates are out there making holes for average running backs like Marlon Mack. So, you got to give them their props on that. All right, so the center position. Man, let's just call it the Pouncey position. We got Marquise Pouncey, Pittsburgh, and Mike Pouncey, Los Angeles Chargers.
No quarrels with this one, man. Give a big shout-out to those guys coming from my hometown of Lakeland, Florida, man. Those guys have been really – I've seen them since they were sophomores in high school, and they're doing the same things they were doing back then, pushing guys around. And it doesn't matter if it's Mike Pouncey with the Dolphins, whether it's with him with the Chargers. Hopefully, maybe these guys might see each other in the playoffs. I don't know. But those two guys are really good players and even better guys.
Man, shout out to the Pouncey parents. Shout out to the family. Like, how's it feel for your household to have the center position locked up in the AFC portion of the Pro Bowl? No quarrels here either. Tight end, we have Travis Kelce of the Kansas City Chiefs and Eric Ebron of the Indianapolis Colts. I don't have quarrels with this one. You think of AFC, you think of tight ends. Of course, you think of Gronk. Gronk is always inconsistent in his availability, to be frank.
Mm-hmm.
We always know what he is and what he can do when the situation gets dire. So, yeah, we know what the Patriots have in Gronk. But, if we're rewarding people for the tight end position, we have to reward the people who were consistent throughout the season. Eric Ebron definitely, just like I talked about with the rest of this Indianapolis team that kind of took everybody by surprise this season. Eric Ebron finally kind of lived up to his billing, because all we've heard throughout the years is how talented he is and how talented how much potential he has. He kind of finally lived up to that potential this season, so I'm cool with him making it. And we all know what we have in Travis Kelce. You got any issues with the tight end position?
The only one I could probably make a case for is against Ebron. Jared Cook's the only bright spot for those Raiders. 6 touchdowns, 848 yards. That's more than Ebron, but what did it do for your team? Not much. So I give the nod to Eric Ebron because he's contributing to a winning team. And I know that the key word to that was team, but it is a big part of it.
All right, let's go to the big dog position here, the quarterbacks. We have Patrick Mahomes, Chiefs, Phillip Rivers, Chargers, and your very own Tom Brady from the New England Patriots. Any issues with this?
Yeah, big one. Tom Brady shouldn't be there. I'm just going to call it what it is. Tom Brady has no business in there. It's a nice gesture. But quite honestly, Tom Brady has no business there. He struggled this year, and it's not completely on him. Part of it is because of the offensive line and how he's had to deal with that. He is top 5 in the league in passing yardage, but he's also thrown a lot of picks this year, and a lot of those picks have nothing to do with the offensive line. They're just him trying to make plays because he knows his offensive line has not played well. 24 touchdowns to 9 interceptions. Put that in perspective. Last year, he only threw 4 interceptions all season. So that says a lot. And the team hasn't changed a ton, especially up front. You've changed left tackle. That's really it up front. So I would definitely say not there, but I definitely would love to see Andrew Luck get back in this thing, especially with him being second in the NFL with 34 touchdown passes, and that goes along with possibly being comeback player of the year.
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking myself, that one of these spots should belong to Andrew Luck. I'm trying to. I'm like, if not Luck, I mean, yeah, I think it would have to be Luck. I think he would definitely be next up in this. And knowing the Pro Bowl, he might very well end up in there, because you might have a situation where Tom Brady doesn't play, whether or not it's because of the usual reasons that they're in the damn Super Bowl. Even if they don't make the Super Bowl this season, I can see Tom pretty much saying, I don't feel like doing that. I've done that enough. I've been picked for that enough. I think somehow, some way, Andrew Luck ends up in this game. But we'll see. But we agree.
Deshaun Watson made a good case this year too, especially, and he might give Andrew Luck a little run for that.
That was my hesitation when I was like, Andrew Luck. Yeah, it's Andrew Luck, because I was about to try to make a case for Deshaun Watson as well. So we're on the same wavelength here. All right, let's go to the running backs, man. And much to the chagrin of Le'Veon Bell, James Conner, Pittsburgh Steelers, it's a Pro Bowler, Melvin Gordon, Los Angeles Chargers, and Phillip Lindsay of the Denver Broncos. What are your thoughts on this trio?
Man, this one's tough because, I get it. James Conner, great story, but not so fast. Joe Mixon was top 5 in the league in rushing yardage this year. He's Le'Veon Bell light, and he was pretty good on a bad Bengals team this year. Also, I'm going to just go ahead and say it. Kareem Hunt was pretty good despite he was on pace for over 1,000 yards before the whole incident with him. And even if it's not him, those two guys, I'm still looking at maybe Nick Chubb. I didn't see it with James Conner. I think is a product of a really good team where you have 3 good receivers, a quarterback, and a tight end, you're going to back off. Teams are backing off, and if I saw it 2 years in a row, I'd be willing to do it, but I'm not willing to put him above those other guys.
Yeah, I think
Don't add me.
I pretty much think you have to put him there, though. I agree with everything you said. I mean, you know, judging by who he's playing with, judging by who he's not Le'Veon Bell. So even though he produced kind of like Le'Veon Bell, he didn't garner the same type of respect as Le'Veon Bell. So him producing those numbers was against much softer, you know, coverages as far as the running back goes, you know, versus what his predecessor had to do. But I'm not going to knock him for that, you know, because they didn't give you the same kind of attention they would give Le'Veon Bell. He still produced. So I think, you know, he's getting his just due. I don't look for it to be anything consistent in his career, but we shall see. Like you said, he could be the product of just a very good team, an offense filled with weapons that you have to account for, which made life much easier for him. So I think I'm pretty cool with the trio. Nick Chubb did a lot, and I don't want to say a little bit of time, but we all know that he didn't start the season as the starting running back, and when he did, man, did he hit the ground running, no pun intended. But shout out to the 3 that actually made
Shout
it.
out, by the way, shout out to Philip Lindsay, by the way, on the Broncos. You know, I kind of split my time back and forth between the college game and the NFL game. But a guy that tore his ACL his senior year in high school, all of his offers disappeared. He got one offer from Colorado, broke all of their records in 3 years, and then turned around, was undrafted. Didn't even get an invite to the combine, and then comes in and had the audacity to say, Terrell Davis, you Hall of Famer, can I have your number? And got it. And then turned around and became a Pro Bowler. Shout out to you. Salute to you with all intent. Salute to you.
All right. So, and of course, you know, shout out to for Anthony Sherman, Kansas City Chiefs, the fullback.
No quarrel there.
You can tell the NFL doesn't even care about this position anymore. You don't even get a backup. So shout out to Anthony Sherman. Let's fly through this defense real quick. Defensive ends. We got J.J. Watt, Houston Texans, Myles Garrett, Cleveland Browns, Melvin Ingram, Los Angeles Chargers. Any issues?
None whatsoever. Shout out to J.J. Watt for coming back and being the same beast that we remember.
Yeah, he's another one, you know, and for him, it's not even necessarily father time. It's father injury that people, you know, just think, he's washed. He's not going to be the same. And then, you know, he comes back and just dominates like he's used to dominating. Interior linemen, you got Geno Atkins, Cincinnati Bengals, Jarrell Casey, Tennessee Titans, Cameron Hayward, Pittsburgh Steelers.
None whatsoever. Jarrell Casey, by the way, one of the bigger names that we never, or most underrated names we don't hear about. But he's the big name on that Tennessee Titans defensive line, and he needs to get a little bit more credit for how good he is. But fortunately, the team just does not succeed, unfortunately.
All right, well, let's go to the outside backers. You got Von Miller, Denver Broncos, Jadeveon Clowney from Houston, D Ford, Kansas City Chiefs.
Man, this one's tough. Can't really be too upset with that one. D Ford had a coming out party this year. It took him long enough. By the way, my Jadeveon Clowney guy, that's my guy. You guys kind of gave me hell about that one, but he's healthy now. Welcome to the NFL, big fella.
The hell wasn't, you know, it wasn't talent related. It was just your belief all throughout the injuries. And your belief is starting to pay off. He's coming on strong. Inside linebacker, C.J. Mosley, Baltimore Ravens. Benardrick McKinney from the Houston Texans. Those are your inside backers.
Yes, big problem here. This is where the problem begins. Nardrick McKinney. This is where we have lots of problems. See, we have a rookie. And I don't give rookies Pro Bowls much, but when you have Darius Leonard of the Indianapolis Colts with over 140 tackles, yeah, about that. And for me, he was a late round pick. When I say late round pick, I mean late round pick. Okay, he's an HBCU guy as well. So I know you guys out there love that. So for me, when I look at how he has played this year, he has played masterfully, and I want to see more of it. Expect to see, and he's young. He's 23, so he has time to continue developing. Want to see more. He says since he's been snubbed, he wants 40 tackles in their next game. I don't know if he'll get 40 tackles, but I think he'll take it out on somebody because, when you get put in those Pro Bowls, you get a little bit of an incentive in that contract sometimes. So even if he is a rookie, bet that extra couple $1,000 will help.
All right, so let's go with the cornerbacks. We got Xavier Howard from the Miami Dolphins, Jalen Ramsey, Jacksonville Jags, Stephon Gilmore, your New England Patriots, and Denzel Ward from the Cleveland Browns.
This quarterback position has been kind of weird this year. Jalen Ramsey, yeah, no problem with that one. Stephon Gilmore, he's been more than good enough. Denzel Ward, I expected this from you this year. This is one of those positions when when you get drafted, you just know if you're good, you are. If you're not, you're not. Xavier Howard, he showed up against the Patriots twice. Wasn't expecting that at all. I expected Kendall Fuller to be the guy Kendall Fuller who went to the Chiefs. I thought he would be the guy. He wasn't the guy. But Casey Hayward is one of those guys with the Chargers I thought should maybe get a bit of more of a look, and as well as Tre'Davious White, corner for the Bills. Both of those guys are really, really good.
All right. And at free safety, we got Derwin James, the Chargers, and Eric Weddle of the Baltimore Ravens. By the time I ain't getting to Eric Weddle, so your thoughts on free safety?
Love both of the picks. Shout out to Derwin James, another guy, one of the Polk County guys down here in Florida, man. I remember seeing him as a wide-eyed freshman in high school, and you just knew. You knew he was going to the NFL. He just looked like a different breed of player, and he's lived up to everything I've seen so far that I expected. And Eric Weddle, the wily veteran, just making plays still. It seems like this guy's never going away. He just loves hitting people.
Well, and that strong safety, somebody else who was highly touted and expected to be here, if you go back to draft night, Jamal Adams, the New York Jets.
No problems with this one. This one says a lot, though. Strong safety position is evolving so much, but it's also becoming a bit of a dinosaur with hybrid players coming around so much, like the fullback position. Strong safety safety is just safety now. I feel like you should just put 4 safeties out there and call it a day if you're going to give this award to somebody.
All right. So special teams, we got kicker Jason Myers from the New York Jets, punter Brett Kern, Tennessee Titans, return specialist Andre Roberts, New York Jets, and special teamer Adrian Phillip, Los Angeles Chargers.
The only quarrel I have with this one as far as this special teamer Adrian Phillips, Matthew Slater should get this award. This is the Matthew Slater Award. Give the guy the award, man. He's won a dang near every year, and that's just a homer pick.
All right, well, let's flip over to the NFC roster. Let's start with their offense. At wide receiver, we have Julio Jones of the Falcons, Michael Thomas of the Saints, Adam Thielen of the Minnesota Vikings, and Devontae Adams of the Green Bay Packers. Any issues here?
Devontae Devontae Adams is a really good receiver, but he does not belong here.
Same
there's this guy named
Same player I was looking at.
Mike Evans is everything that an elite receiver is. He's had 7,000 yards since getting into the NFL. That's like second in the NFL all time for a guy of his at his age and experience in the league. That's just ridiculous. Mike Evans has. I mean, that's not even close for me. Also, when I look at this one, Adam Thielen has had a good year, but I really, as I'm going up and down the list, I'm just like, no, there's not. I thought Brandon Cooks had a good year. Odell Beckham Jr. had a good year, but Adam Thielen had I'll be nice and give it to him. I'll give it to him for the year. It'll be nice. This is the NFC South show though. Those guys have some good. Those quarterbacks have good receivers.
No doubt. All right, let's go to that offensive line. Let's go to the tackles. We got Tyron Smith of the Dallas Cowboys, Teron Armstead of the New Orleans Saints, and Trent Williams of the Washington Professional Football Team.
No quarrels there.
All right. Me, I'm looking at it as, all right, it's seeming a little like a popularity contest, but when you think somebody might not deserve it, you have to have somebody to be able to put in place, and that's where I fall short. So I give these guys their just due. Let's go to guards. Zach Martin, Dallas Cowboys. Brandon Brooks, the Philadelphia Eagles.
You should put Zach Martin's name in pen for the rest of his career unless he gets hurt. Just saying.
Brandon Brooks of the Eagles. Trey Turner of the Carolina Panthers.
No problems whatsoever.
No problems here either. All right, let's go to the center position. We got Alex Mack of the Atlanta Falcons and Max Unger of the New Orleans Saints.
No issues whatsoever. I think the Falcons, Alex Mack kind of had an issue for me in the beginning. I thought maybe because that offensive line wasn't great for Matt Ryan. They had the 10th ranked offense, but it just didn't seem like it. But when you go back and watch the tape, that team could run the football when they wanted to. They could throw the ball when they wanted to. They couldn't stop a soul. So no problems here.
All right, at tight ends, we have Zach Ertz of the Philadelphia Eagles, who is sitting there with 100-plus catches, and George Kittle of the San Francisco 49ers. I have no problem with that pick whatsoever. George Kittle has been a pleasant surprise, a pleasant addition to the mix of great tight ends in the NFL. No bones here. What about yourself?
None whatsoever. Thank you, George Kittle, for doing what you've been doing on my fantasy team. Appreciate it.
No doubt. Quarterbacks. We got Drew Brees of the New Orleans Saints, Jared Goff of the Los Angeles Rams, and Aaron Rodgers of the Green Bay Packers. To me, this could be another one of those, like we talked about Tom Brady. This might be Aaron Rodgers busting his way up into the party simply because he's Aaron Rodgers. But you think and you look around the NFC, and like just what I said is I'm kind of hard pressed to find somebody that I could put over Aaron Rodgers. You got anybody, or are you good with this list?
Aaron Rodgers. When I look at this, I don't want to call it an award, but to get this kind of an honor, you got to do more than what Aaron Rodgers did. I mean, Aaron Rodgers led the league in throwaways, and that's not that in the context of football. If he doesn't like the throw, he's just going to throw it away, and in reality that makes sense. But for me, the amount of yardage lost when you actually look at the numbers for that, not so great. Matt Ryan, I'm going to give it to Matt Ryan. Simply put, that team should have been dead in the water really early in the year, but they had a 10th-ranked offense, and that was without Devontae Freeman. Julio Jones, 1,400 yards. very few touchdowns. I can't stand you, Julio Jones. Empty yardage, no points for my fantasy team. I will never pick you again on my fantasy team, and I'll probably do it next year.
I think I might be looking at. Yeah, I think that's a good pick. Especially statistically. I think I might be looking at Russell Wilson for this, and that's with Russell Wilson, you're never just going. Yeah, you never with him. You're never really going all in statistically. You just have to look at what he does for that team and how much he's asked to do, and how imperative he is to any success that they have. So I think I'm gonna look at Russell Wilson in this particular one. All right.
No Dak Prescott. No Dak Prescott. None whatsoever.
Man.
No.
God. Trash can Pat Prescott. All right, so running back, we got Todd Gurley of the Los Angeles Rams, Saquon Barkley of the New York Giants, Ezekiel Elliott of the Dallas Cowboys. I have absolutely zero to say about this. What about yourself?
This one's hard because I really want to say I could get rid of somebody, but if I'm getting rid of somebody, could I really replace them with somebody else? And I really like what Alvin Kamara did this year. I really did. But I can't move Todd Gurley out of the way. I can't move Zeke out of the way because those are the top guys. It's hard. And then Saquon Barkley he did exactly what we expected him to do. Tons of production. For a while, didn't we say the running back position was dead? It was a dinosaur, and we didn't invest in it. I think that's a lie now. That's in the case of running backs not being productive. That's a lie. So I honestly, I think I can't put anybody over him. So yeah, I'll keep those three.
All right, yeah, we had some technical difficulties, but we'll deal with that on the editing side of this one. Let's continue on. And we left off at fullback, San Francisco 49ers, Kyle. I never know how to pronounce this dude's name.
Kyle Juszczyk. Let's go get him. Kyle Juszczyk.
Yeah, man, it's like Mike Krzyzewski or somebody. Kyle Juszczyk of the San Francisco 49ers. I don't have much to say there, just because, like I said, they're just going to throw a fullback in there. Nobody's really checking for fullbacks too much these days, so no issues for me.
None whatsoever. He's the best fullback in the league, and he's not really a fullback. He's one of those hybrid H-back type players who he actually gets the ball a little bit more than people actually really see. You 49er fans are really lucky.
All right. Well, we definitely got to fly through this defensive end. We got Cameron Jordan with the Saints, DeMarcus Lawrence from the Cowboys, and Danielle Hunter from the Minnesota Vikings.
No real issues here. Just thinking about across the league, this year's been really crazy as far as when you think of defensive linemen. I haven't really the AFC is where it is right now as far as defensive linemen. And Khalil Mack's not really one of those. Even though we think of him as one, he's really not. He plays multiple positions, so no quarrel.
Interior linemen, you got Aaron Donald of the Rams, Fletcher Cox from the Philadelphia Eagles, and Akeem Hicks from the Chicago Bears.
No quarrels here. Although would you want to with this defensive line on the field? Would you want to run on that team? Just saying.
Not at all. Outside linebacker, Khalil Mack, Chicago Bears, Ryan Kerrigan, Washington Professional Football Team, and Anthony Barr of the Minnesota Vikings. No, actually, I do. Levante David. Goodbye, Ryan Kerrigan. I'm sorry. Levante David deserves it. Levante David deserves it. Leighton Vander Esch deserves it. You guys flip a coin and figure it out from there. And Jalen Smith could probably deserve it too. So you guys flip a coin and fight it out for that position. Just saying. All right. Inside backer, Luke Kuechly and Bobby Wagner. Carolina and Seattle, of course.
None. You can put those guys in pin as long as those guys are in the league until they decide to retire.
All right, so we got cornerbacks. We got Kyle Fuller of the Chicago Bears, Patrick Peterson of the Cardinals, Darius Slay of the Detroit Lions, Byron Jones of the Dallas Cowboys.
I'd probably say Byron Jones can go. Xavier Rhodes keeps doing his thing in Minnesota. Can't really think of anybody else that really deserves it. I thought maybe Aqib Talib or Marcus Peters would have done the job. Neither one of those guys did it. Desmond Trufant was a pretty good player for the Falcons. I thought maybe Sidney Jones would have kind of stepped into this role coming into this year for your Eagles. Not so much.
Nope.
Janoris Jenkins kind of comes to mind as well. But, yeah, any of those guys can kind of replace Byron Jones.
I find it kind of surprising that, with the reputation that he's built in such a short time, that Xavier Rhodes isn't on here. Look like they're trying to be defiant as far as the popularity contest goes. But
he struggled with injuries this year, and I think that may have had a little bit to do with it.
Right. So free safety, we got Eddie Jackson, Chicago Bears, Harrison Smith of the Minnesota Vikings.
None whatsoever. Eddie Jackson deserves a turnover chain with a Chicago Bears logo on it. Just saying. Harrison
Shout out to the
best free safety in the league.
All right, and strong safety, Landon Collins of the New York Giants.
I'd actually say I think this one's a little bit backwards. I think Harrison Smith is more of the strong safety type.
I'd probably put Harrison Smith there and kind of remove Landon Collins and just leave it that way. But if it's the way it is what it is. I'm good with it.
It's kind of interesting. My man Malcolm didn't get a look. He's been like the only bright spot in the Eagles secondary on a consistent basis this season. But I guess if your secondary is giving up what this secondary is giving up, they're not really trying to check for anybody.
Definitely.
On that secondary. All right, so special teams, kicker, Aldrick Rosas, New York Giant. Punter, Michael Dixon of the Seattle Seahawks. Return specialist, Tariq Cohen, Chicago Bears. I love that one. Special teamer, Corey Littleton, Los Angeles Rams.
The only one I have an issue with is Will Lutz, kicker for the Saints, has only missed one field goal, and one extra point all season. And as much as the Saints have been scoring all year, that's a hard job, especially with the way kickers are just being so inaccurate. Good job with that rule. I actually like this new kicking rule with the distance that they put where it's not automatic anymore. Again, it adds a little bit of intrigue. So put Will Lutz in there. That's a little bit of a difficulty having to put so many attempts up and only missing one of each.
All right, so that's our Pro Bowl segment. We're going to have to go into our pick six and kind of definitely fly through these picks. Can't give them as much time as we usually give them. But let's start with the Ravens and the Chargers. Who you got in that one?
Give me the Chargers in this one. Lamar Jackson might not be completely healthy. The Chargers need this one to try to make a jump into that first place spot that they're fighting with their in-division rival, the Chiefs. Now that they have tiebreakers, things can get really interesting. Give me the Chargers.
This is what scares me, man. You know, I've been on the Chargers for the past 2 seasons. They're finally living up to the expectations that I put out there for them. But they're the Chargers, man. This is where they choke, isn't it? Like, I don't know. I'm going to go with the Chargers as well, but just know that I'm really reluctant to do so. They seem to have proven to be a very, very good team this year, but you never know what's going to happen with them. We got the Bucks and the Cowboys, and the NFC East can get.
Before you go to that one, I really need the Ravens to win this one, low key, because at the beginning of the year I picked the Ravens to win that division, and right now they're a half a game out behind the Pittsburgh Steelers, who have a tie. That's the only thing saving them. I need the Ravens to win this one, low key.
Hey, well, there's what you need, and I need the Bucks to win this one. The Buccaneers versus the Cowboys. This one, the NFC East can get really, really interesting if the Cowboys lose this game. I mean, if the Philadelphia Eagles lose to the Texans in the 1:00 game, then none of this really matters. But it can get really interesting if the Buccaneers go in there and actually do work. I think this is where the Cowboys turn it back around and get a win. I'm going to pick the Cowboys on this one. I don't see the Bucs coming through in such a big spot, a big spoiler spot. So I'm going to go with the Cowboys, but I'm hoping for a Bucs win.
The most consistently inconsistent team I've seen all year. When they're hot, they're hot. When they're not, they're not. This is not the time for them to be hot. Although I would like it because I just can't stand the Cowboys. But I don't trust Jameis to win this one, especially when there's nothing to play for. Give me the Cowboys.
All right. And you got the Houston Texans versus the Philadelphia Eagles. Your thoughts?
This one really, I don't think it has much to do about anything, especially knowing that, you don't necessarily have a first place spot to play for here. But it could really, and you could see these Texans really kind of just not play anybody. But we know how that usually works out. They're going to get a bye at least first week. I'll take the Eagles because it matters more, and they need this one. Watch out for
this is the crazy part. This is the crazy part, man. The Rams threw my picks off for this week and last week, because going into the thing long term, looking big picture, I was thinking, okay, I think the Eagles, I think they're definitely going to lose to the Rams. I think they probably could go ahead and grab that Texans game. Now that they've beaten the Rams and they're on such a high, like, this is, I know my team. I know my franchise besides last year. I don't know who those guys were last season. But I know this is where, the expectations start to come up. Oh, they beat the Rams, so they should be able to get the Texans. This is where they mess up and choke. But I'm going to pick them because I was going to pick them before, they pulled off that big win to the Rams. I hope they're not riding too high. I hope they're coming out, they're going to come out motivated from the Rams win and not too high and arrogant off of the Rams win. So I'm going to pick the Eagles in this one. I'm begging for them to make this interesting. I'm begging for it here. All right, so we have the Chiefs and the Seahawks. Thoughts on that one?
This one matters because if the Chiefs lose, the Texans might have the number one seed. They could have a shot at the number one seed. If the Seahawks win, they just have to win and they're in.
Right.
Just to follow Al Davis, just win, baby. It's in Seattle. I don't know what the weather is going to be like, but it's in Seattle. That's always a tough place to play. The video game numbers for Pat Mahomes and company are kind of coming down a little bit, and not.
But you knew they would.
Yeah, but even with the Kareem Hunt thing, really changes things. Give me Seattle in a crazy upset by like 1 point. This one's going to be crazy.
Look, man, all I got to say is go Andy, because, the NFC has gotten into a position where they've shockingly left the NFC East with a chance, albeit I think a small chance, a chance to get two teams into the playoffs. So even if, the Buccaneers can't pull that upset on the Cowboys, if the Eagles can handle their business, they'll still be in the mix. And the mix will be helped tremendously by a Chiefs win. So I'm going to say go Andy, and I'm going to say the Chiefs go in there and get the job done. Because they still have a lot, they're still battling over there for that number one seed. So it's not like they don't have anything to play for themselves. Let's go Steelers versus the New Orleans Saints. I think the Saints kind of, I'm not going to say put them out of their misery because it's not going to totally ruin their season, but I think the Saints get the job done in this one, Fred, which helps your pick of the Ravens, moving closer to actually pulling out this division, man. Give me the Saints in that one.
Yeah, if you like offensive football, that's where this one's leading. I think you're going to see a bit of a shootout in this one. If you have a fantasy team that's in the playoffs, unlike me, enjoy this one. Give me the Saints in this one, just by the slightest of margins.
And last but not least, we have the Bills versus your Patriots. And before I let you get down on this, I'm going to say the position that the Patriots find themselves in, the fact that they're being questioned, Tom Brady is being questioned versus Father Time, the run, the dynasty of the Patriots is being called into question. Probably the latest in a season in a long time that this dynasty is being called into question. All I'm going to say is, Bills, that's your ass. Go ahead, Fred.
Bills Mafia. This is you had two back. You're facing a Patriots team at home that's coming off of two crazy last minute. I mean, the Miracle in Miami Part 2. And then you have, But the thing about this game, is that the last time these two teams met up, it was a very, very close one on Monday Night Football. And I think you're going to see a lot of the same things. This team they're fighting still. They're showing a little fight, and Josh Allen's kind of coming into his own as far as at least a runner. By the way, he surpassed Michael Vick as far as rushing yards by a quarterback. He leads the team in rushing yards. Nonetheless, Patriots are going to win this one.
All right. Well, there you have it, man. We've talked about the Pro Bowl. We've talked about who's available and who's not available for Week 16 in the NFL season, and we've given you our picks for Week 16. So this is another Cover 2 with McMillan and Purdue in the books. You can catch us chilling, sitting in the man caves, watching games on Sunday. You can catch me on Twitter, DevMacWR Sports, or on the War Room Sports Twitter feed at War Room Sports. Also on the War Room Sports Facebook page. Just go to Facebook and search War Room Sports. And also, if you have the GroupMe app, search for the War Room Sports Game Time group. We'll be talking football there as well. Fred, where can they catch you for some NFL action?
You can catch me on Twitter, Fred Purdue CFB. It's recruiting season, so you'll see a lot of me talk, a lot of the recruiting talk. So you might not catch a ton of NFL, but you'll catch a nugget or two here and there.
Well, there you have it. If you're a college football fan, make sure you check out the latest episode of Quick Slants featuring Fred Purdue. You can catch that at warroomsports.com or go directly to the War Room Sports YouTube page to check out the latest episode of Quick Slants, also archive episodes of the show as well. So for all you NFL fans out there, again, this has been another episode of Cover 2 with McMillan and Purdue. For my man Fred Purdue, I'm Devin McMillan. Like we always tell you guys at this time, don't accept mediocrity. Be steadfast in the war against ignorance, and we'll see you chumps on top. Peace.
Going up to LaFell. Touchdown. The big screen. Sanchez over the middle. Touchdown. Play action. Cutler wide open. Sanzenbacher.
War Room Sports, www.warroomsports.com. What? Ain't no more to it.